This is the morning sports desk for Wednesday, the 24th of April. Hi there. I'm CJ Baumgartner. No Corey Tackman today. He has the day off. And so we're going to do a solo one. It's not going to be as long of a sports desk, but we still have a whole lot to talk about. So stick with me as we first dive into the local sports scene. Here we go. We have a story talking about a Perham baseball player who set a record yesterday. Blaze Schmidt set a Perham school record for most RBIs in a single game. He didn't get 1 RBI. He didn't get 2 RBI. He didn't get 3 RBI. Didn't get 4, 5, 6, not even 7. He had 8 RBIs in a game. It's amazing. So congratulations to Blaze Schmidt. 8 RBIs. That's a Perham school record. We have an article up right now at the Wadena Radio.com website and the Superstation K106 mobile app where you can check all of that out and get the full write-up on it. It should be posted by the time this podcast gets published. If you're watching on the live stream, then give me a little bit. But congratulations to him on that one. Pretty darn cool. He has like 8 more RBIs than I did in high school, which is, a low bar to clear, but man, that guy cleared it. So congratulations to him. That's a great moment there. And the other thing is with RBIs that we can never forget is it RBIs or RBI? Like, is RBI itself like a verb? Therefore, it's its own technical word, which means it just means RBI, which means you don't need to put an S at the end. Or are you going with the abbreviation? Because if it just runs batted in, well, it already says runs, so it already implies that it could be plural. So if you have 2 RBI, that's 2 runs batted in. So you don't need the RBIs because that's runs batted ins. Does that make sense? I don't know. I write about Twins baseball and I still go back and forth on like the proper way to do it. And I don't think I've been corrected either time. So I think it's just kind of up in the air. But anyway, little grammar baseball tidbit for you on this Wednesday. We got a lot of things to talk about with the Minnesota Timberwolves, including how Anthony Edwards became like, I don't know, a prophet.
So, they got KD, but we got Jaden McDaniels.
That was said a year ago by Anthony Edwards at the All-Star game. They were talking about Kevin Durant getting traded to the Suns, and they asked Anthony Edwards, and he said, once again,
so, they got KD, but we got Jaden McDaniels.
They got Kevin Durant, but we've got Jaden McDaniels. Now, I will say, this is just a throwaway line by Ant, and by that, I don't think he's like, he's being a little facetious in the sense of like, he's obviously not trying to say that Jaden McDaniels is Kevin Durant, but he's trying to gas up his teammates. And Anthony Edwards, that guy, he does not lack confidence. And now 2 years, or I should say a year from that point, he seems like a prophet because Jaden McDaniels had the game of his life yesterday. He played 41 out of 48 minutes. He had 25 points, 8 rebounds, and was 10 of 17 shooting. So over 50% from the floor. And not just that. Again, a difference maker on defense. A guy who's getting after it. One of the best on-ball defenders in the NBA, Jaden McDaniels. And in the first half, he didn't quite have that great a game like he did, but it didn't quite bubble up yet with how good it was going to be. Because there was a lot of Wolves fans on social media, and it's not a ton of them, but it's the same ones who keep banging on the Jaden McDaniels is overpaid and overrated drum, and you're foolish. I'm sorry, you're foolish if you think Jaden McDaniels is overrated or overpaid. That dude gets paid a lot of money, and maybe he's overpaid a little bit, but in terms of like the general point when people say overpaid of like, that guy's a bum, Jaden McDaniels is not a bum. He's a legit dude who can play. He gets in his own head a little bit. I mean, he got a technical for shoving Booker in the first half, and that's part of why people got the consternation on social media. A year ago, he missed the playoffs because he punched the wall. That not ideal. He can make those mistakes. He's not perfect, obviously. But when Jaden McDaniels is on the floor and he's in his bag, He's a guy who can make so many plays and help out. He's long and lanky, and it makes him a really tough defensive presence. And it was awesome. And he helped lead the Timberwolves to another win. 109 to 93, 105-93. Doesn't matter. The Minnesota Timberwolves defense once again held the Phoenix Suns offense, which was one of the best offenses in the NBA with Booker and Kevin Durant in the regular season, and a team that frequently owned the Timberwolves in the regular season. The Wolves have punched them in the mouth 2 straight games defensively and done just enough on offense to be able to have a good game. And Anthony Edwards had a great game 1. So-so game 2, finished with like 15 points. He didn't have that great of a game. And it was astounding watching the NBA on TNT crew of Shaq and Charles Barkley and whatever refuse to give the Timberwolves any kind of credit, any kind whatsoever. They played their tails off defensively. Ant and Carl didn't have great games scoring-wise. Carl got into foul trouble, but again, the refs were not great. But, that sounds like complaining. Carl did not have a great game. Neither did Ant. But at the same time, they both contributed to winning. If you're box score hunting, Cat and Ant had bad games. If you're watching the game as a whole and seeing what they do off ball and seeing the things they do, Anthony Edwards has been handling double teams really well. Phoenix has been double teaming Anthony Edwards and daring a young guy to make the correct reads in a playoff game, feeling pressure, whatever. Everybody's telling him he's the man. If we double team him, is he going to make the passes? And he has been. The Wolves have had some great ball movement in the last couple games, and it's looked really, really sharp. So Minnesota Timberwolves have a complete team, is my general point. They can whine and say, Cat's got to be better. He's got to be better in his next game. Yeah, of course he does. Of course he does. But the point is that they weren't on their game, and they still manhandled Phoenix. They still manhandled a good offense. Because you know what travels? You know what carries over? You know what's not based on luck as much as offense is? Defense. Your outside shooting can be a little fluky. You know what can't be fluky? Defense. And I know another team can just be really hot shooting, but you know what? Being on ball, pestering, doing everything you can to create a turnover, all that other stuff, that shows up no matter what. And that's every high school coach ever is like nodding their heads in agreement with that. But the Minnesota Timberwolves didn't win yesterday because they had the best star power. Gobert had a nice game, great defensive game. But what the Timberwolves did is they are just a deeper team. Grayson Allen went out with an ankle injury for the Suns, and who's their star power past KD and Booker? 2 big stars, big star power. But you're guaranteeing on them to have the big games all the time. The Timberwolves star power didn't really have a big offensive game on the stat sheet. But you know who did? Jaden McDaniels. You know who did? Nickeil Alexander-Walker. The Timberwolves are deeper. The Timberwolves aren't where they are because of star power. It helps. It needs to get them there. But a lot of teams in the West have star power. The Clippers have star power. The Pelicans have star power. The Kings, the Warriors, the Lakers have star power. Lakers have star power and they're 7th. What makes the Timberwolves good is that they have star power, but it's combined with a deep team. It's combined with the fact that Nickeil Alexander-Walker comes off the bench. It's combined with the fact that Naz Reid comes off the bench. Markieff Morris comes off the bench. The Wolves have so many talented players that can come off the bench, and not only that, come in, play great defense, do their jobs, all of that stuff. And that's why the Timberwolves are winning. They're playing great defense. They're a deeper team. The series isn't over by any stretch of the imagination, but they put themselves in such a great spot going up 2-0. This is only the second time they've been up 2-0 in franchise history. First time in 20 years. The last time they were up 2-0 was the first round playoff series in 2004, up 2-0 to the Nuggets. It's a big deal. And look, they haven't won a playoff series in 20 years. So that still needs to happen. They got to win 2 more games, and now the next 2 games are in Phoenix. But it's a big chance for the Timberwolves to go out here and do something. And you get a couple days off now. They don't play till Friday because the NBA postseason stinks. How many games they schedule around. But, Wolves back. We to ones, Jack. All that good stuff. Corey was at the game yesterday. I can't wait to talk to him and what that atmosphere was like, because they were vocal. You could hear them on the television. So it'll be curious to see what Corey's reaction is to that. So I'm not going to talk too much about the Target Center atmosphere, although it was great. But yeah, we're going to save that for tomorrow's show. There's your Timberwolves insight. Overall, just a great day of basketball. And the way this is the last thing I'll say about the Wolves. The way they move on defense, they get after it. Just watch them play defense and don't watch the ball. Or if you are, just watch like the actual basketball. Don't watch the shooting. Don't watch whatever. Don't watch what the player's doing. Watch the ball and how the Timberwolves react to that. It's not just go get the guy who has the basketball. They are moving. They are crashing. When there's an extra pass, they are going after that guy. They're just not letting him shoot the ball. And that's what makes it. They're fun to watch on defense because they're flying around. You hear that phrase used all the time. They fly around. It's really, really fun to watch. You know what else is fun to watch? When the Minnesota Twins actually win a baseball game. And it helps when you have a guy by the name of Byron Buxton doing some pretty awesome stuff.
A swinging blast to left field, down the line, in the corner. That ball is going to be fair and gone off the pole. Byron Buxton, a laser down the left field line.
Byron Buxton, yeah. Game-tying home run. Buxton, by the way, in his last, I want to say 7 games, has an OPS of 1,000. Hit his first home run of the season there. Tied the game up 5-5. Pablo did not have a great start, only pitched 4 innings. Velocity was down when he got pulled, although Rocco says he believes he should be okay, but we'll wait to kind of get an official word on that. It was not a great Pablo Lopez start. It's a shame for me to admit. Gave up a 3-run home run to Robert and, not to Robert, to Eloy Jimenez. And then the bullpen gave up a couple runs late. The Twins down 5-2 in the 8th, got a big 2-run home run from Corey's guy, Trevor Larnach.
Right field and deep. Back it goes and gone. A 1-run game at Target Field on Larnach's second. And it's 5-4 Chicago.
Corey's guy, Trevor Larnach, hit 2 home runs since being called up from AAA St. Paul last week, making a little bit of an impact. The Twins need some kind of left-handed bat to just do something, anything. And there you go. It's Trevor Larnach being that guy. Today, the Twins get a 6-5 win. Alex Kirilloff hits a walk-off single. The Twins have won back-to-back games versus the White Sox, who just are atrociously bad. Atrociously bad. They're 3 and what did we say? 3-20? 3-20. 3-20. Somebody said the UConn men's basketball team has won more games than the White Sox since the start of the Major League Baseball season. And I don't know if you know this, UConn men's basketball stopped playing games 20 days ago. It's not good. Not good for the Chicago White Sox. So the Twins, yes. Do we need to get all hyped that the Twins barely beat the White Sox? No. But we'd be way more panicked if they lost. This is always the thing. The Twins win a game against the White Sox or a bad team in general, or like Vikings, Wolves, whoever. Everybody goes, nice win. And they go, well, actually it was against a bad team, so therefore the win isn't that impressive. It's like, okay, yeah, like nobody's saying this is a top 5 all-time win ever. It's just that you won the game. That's what you're supposed to do. You know, we're not saying that now this team is going to win the World Series. It's, okay, can you get some wins together, get the confidence up, and try and get back on track? But you know what? It's fine. Minnesota Twins, winners of 2 in a row, trying to make it 3, playing the atrocious White Sox. Then they will go out west to play the Angels, and then go to Chicago to take on the White Sox again. Big opportunity to pick some games up in the standings. Twins play again tonight, 6:40 first pitch. You can hear it on 101.7 FM and AM 920 KWAD. Okay, so that goes on from our Twins discussion. I want to talk a little bit about the NFL draft. Right now, what we're hearing on the latest headlines is the draft is, from the time of recording this podcast, about 30 hours away. We're getting close. The Vikings will come out with a franchise quarterback when this draft is all said and done. Who that will be remains to be seen. but they are going to get one. And reports say, and this is kind of the worst kept secret, is that the Vikings are in love with Drake May. They want to get Drake May. They want to trade up for Drake May. The interesting part is there was a report from Yahoo Sports that said the Vikings, if they don't get May at 3, could potentially get a different quarterback. And so the reason that May would not be available, there's a lot of people who just kind of assume that the Vikings are going to trade up and get 3. And I just don't think that's the case. I think in my heart of hearts that Drake May is going to be a Patriot. I think in my heart of hearts that Drake May doesn't make it past 3. If he's not taken by the Washington Commanders, Drake May will be taken by the New England Patriots. It will stink for him because the Patriots are an awful football team right now, but the Patriots need a quarterback and they're picking 3rd overall, and there's 3 good quarterbacks in this draft. So just take the 3rd guy. And that's probably what they're going to do. But if they don't, and the Vikings do offer the house, awesome. But for Vikings fans that are just dead set that Drake May is going to be a Viking or that a trade up is going to happen at 3, I'm skeptical. I'm very, very skeptical. Okay, but who do the Vikings want according to Yahoo if he's not available at 3? Well, if the Vikings stick and pick, Bo Nix, a potential name according to Yahoo Sports, is a name that Kevin O'Connell really likes. And we'll get to Bo Nix tomorrow along with Michael Penix. But Bo Nix is a name to watch. Now, we're going to talk about JJ McCarthy in a second, but I think just for you guys here, I think if I were to list my quarterback rankings, which kind of go off vibes, and I didn't grind tape and like go back and rewatch everything like some people have, but like I watch a lot of college football. We saw all of these guys play. We know, at least on a gut level, if we think they can play or not. And I'm going to tell you, my quarterback rankings goes Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden McDaniels, Michael Penix, JJ McCarthy, Bo Nix. I have McCarthy and Nix as like the bottom tier of quarterback, I think. And maybe you can go back yesterday or 2 days ago and my opinion has changed. But I think I've hardened out on this position. I'm not high on JJ McCarthy. And we are going to explain why here. So JJ McCarthy, his positives, he's got athletic ability. And he's not fast, but he's quick. And as a quarterback, you probably want a quarterback that's quick more than a quarterback who's fast. You don't need a quarterback that runs a blazing 40 because he's rarely not going to have 40 yards of open field in front of him. What you do want for a quarterback is quickness. He has above average quickness and agility. He's a nimble mover in and out of the pocket. He flashes the ability to create from outside the pocket. There's above average accuracy when throwing in the middle of the field, such as slant routes, glance routes, digs, those kind of routes, and above average toughness in the pocket, meaning he's willing to take hits to get the ball out. That was a big trait of Kirk Cousins. Kirk was willing to take a hit and get the ball out. That's nice. Over the middle of the field. Kevin O'Connell likes to throw over the middle of the field. Justin Jefferson is an over the field target. TJ Hawkinson, over the middle of the field kind of target. Quickness, help you get away from some of those interior pressures that could come your way if the interior of the offensive line doesn't hold up. There are some positives for McCarthy. He's an athlete. He was a highly recruited quarterback coming out of high school into college at Michigan. He led a team to the national championship game, and he didn't make a ton of plays, but he did lead a game-winning drive against Alabama. So that's not particularly bad. But it's where we get to the negatives, where things really start to fall apart for me. Because as much as the positives are about someone, you got to be careful about their floor as well. He's a one-speed thrower with average arm talent. That guy just guns in balls. He guns in the football. There is not a lot of touch there. Often fails to add arc and touch when necessary, especially outside the numbers. And that's where you have again, if you throw an interception over the middle of the field, the guy's getting tackled. Throw an interception along the numbers, good chance that goes for a pick six. And often fails to add arc and touch. If you got to throw over the middle of the field, you're going to need to arc that football over the linebackers. It's just, again, things can be developed, things can be coached. That just is a red flag for me. Below average ability to throw late in the down or in uncomfortable platforms. And again, he didn't have a ton of opportunities to throw late and down, or if they were throwing late and down, I should say, meaning you were throwing on third down. Michigan wasn't throwing on third down very often because, one, they didn't have third downs, And if they were, it was 3rd and 3, and they were just going to run and hand it off to Blake Corum. So if they were passing, it was a 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15. So he was put in bad situations. So that's a little bit of a knock, but at the same time, didn't necessarily look great in those situations. And below average processing and timing on anything but his first read. And that is what scares me the most out of anything with JJ McCarthy. Processing and timing are two big things of a Kevin O'Connell offense. If he can't do that, I'm scared. And also anything but his first read. Meaning, yeah, where it's supposed to go right away, I can do that. If you want me to keep going, things get touchy. Kirk Cousins could read a play. So that's not necessarily his dig. But the thing on Kirk was couldn't make a playoff schedule. And when things broke down, things got hazy for him. And that's the same thing. Not the exact same thing, but it's in the same vein for JJ McCarthy. I'm just not very high on him. Not very high on JJ McCarthy. And I've kind of held off waiting just to see what the Vikings' plans are. They're not necessarily linked to McCarthy, although things can change. I know Denver has been a team that's really into McCarthy, but now look, if the Vikings draft him, I'll put my fan hat on and I will fully justify the pick or tell you how it can work. But I think if I'm rating guys on least chance to work, JJ McCarthy second from the bottom with Bo Nix. Now, that being said, do I think he'll be a massive bust? No. But I don't know. I don't want to call anybody a massive bust out of fear of being wrong, but feels like you never should trust those quarterbacks that rise late. Those quarterbacks where you watch the college football season and you kind of think, yeah, this guy's in this tier. And all of a sudden during the combine and the workouts, he moves up to like an A tier. And that's what scares me. It's what also scares me about Jaden Daniels. Daniels had a good season. He did. But again, how sure can you be of a guy that had a good season and especially late? That's the other thing. So some question marks, but we'll talk more about it tomorrow when Corey's here and we can kind of go back and forth. This has been the Morning Sports Desk for Wednesday, April 24th.